Hey guys, I'm gonna go try and get some lobster today, and I thought I would just share with you the kind of kit that we normally take when we're doing this kind of stuff. So I'll go through my kit list because I think this sort of thing would be helpful for me if I was starting out. Everyone's got their own preferences, and that's totally fine. But this is just an idea of kind of what I think about what I'm going for. So I'll run through it very quickly. For me, number one key is wetsuit. So I'm using a 5mm Cressi Apnea suit. It's a two-piece suit. I like the Cressi Apnea suit. It fits me. Wetsuits and wetsuit sizes are entirely personal preference. I'm using a 5mm just now. It's getting colder. We're in Shetland. Water temperature's sitting around about 11 degrees just now. And I can get away with a 5mm suit at the moment, and I like wearing the 5mm suit because I can move a bit easier and stuff like that. Once it starts to get a bit colder, I'm going to switch over to my Cressi Fisterra suit. I've got two suits, one's 7mm, one's 8mm, and they work really well for me in the winter. I'm warm all year round in them. I'm almost too warm in the summer. One downside to the thicker suits is that they sort of restrict your breathing a little bit. You're very aware of them, and they're just a bit heavier, a bit thicker, a bit trickier to move in. I'm fairly strong for my size, so I can kind of ignore it, but for some people it might be a little bit too much. But the comfort's well worth that little bit of strife just wearing the thicker suit. And then really important are your sort of peripheries, so your gloves and your boots. You get away without gloves this time of year, but if you're going for scallops, if you're going for crabs, you're going for lobsters, and you're mucking around in the rocks, really, you need gloves, guys. You'll cut your hands to shreds. You won't even know you've cut your hands to shreds until you get out the water. So I will not wear gloves sometimes. But it kind of depends on what I'm doing. If I'm scratching about in the rocks and so on, you really want gloves because your hands kind of go a bit numb. Lots of little sharp barnacles and stuff like that. And obviously, it's just a little bit of extra protection if you get nailed by a lobster or a crab or something. So, gloves and boots. To be honest, I can't see past immersion kit, so I'm wearing 5mm just now. Like I say, the water's starting to chill a little bit, but you'll get away with 3mm in the summer quite comfortably. But I'm going with 5 today. I love these immersion 5mm gloves. And I love immersion boots, so I've got a few. I've got 7mm, 5mm and 3mm. In the summer I'll wear 3. It's a bit of a pain. I'll come back to the fins pretty soon, but you almost have to size your fins dependent on what kind of boots you're going to wear, because I'm a size 10. These are Cressi Gara modular impulses. I'll put a link. But these are sized 10 to 11. They're very, very tight on me if I wear 7mm boots. They're pretty much perfect with 5mm boots. And if I wear 3mm boots, there's a little bit of play, but you do get inserts with these fins. So the inserts just go inside, they pack the boot up a little bit, and it allows you to wear a bit of a range of boots. These are my rock scratching fins, Cressi Modular Impulse, big long freediving fins, lots of power. They're really good. They're plastic, so I don't mind getting them scratched up. I have got a really smart pair of Alchemy spearfishing fins as well, but the carbon fibre. And when you're getting your fins on and off on the rocks and stuff like that, it hurts when you have a pair of 500-pound plus fins that you're just scratching up to pieces on the rock. So when I'm going for crabs and lobsters, I am lucky enough to have 2 sets of fins, and I use my old and original Cressi Modular Impulses. I love these fins. They'll do everything you need them to do. I've got bad knees, so the weight is a thing for me. That's why I moved up to carbon. And I'll be honest, the hype is true. Carbon is better, but for most people, that's all you need is plastic fins. But I went with carbon because my knees are knackered basically, and the carbon fins just make my swims that little bit more enjoyable. So I like Cressi fins. I'm 178 centimeters tall. I'm about 95 kilo in weight, and the large fits me like a glove. That might not be the same for you. They just work for me. Try a couple of wetsuits if you've got mates that are willing to let you do them, use them. They make a difference. I like the Cressi Calibro masks. They fit me really well. Masks are a personal thing as well. I've tried Maris masks before. and they just don't quite fit me. There's nothing wrong with the masks themselves, but these Calibros fit me perfectly. I love them. I've got a few pairs of these. I'm going to be filming today, and I'm going to be using my Beuchat mask. I'm still trying to crack this. I've been through about 5 different GoPro masks. I find with all of them, they push up here on a dive. They start to crush here. They're always going to be compromised. You've got a lot of weight up high. When you start to return to the surface, especially freediving, you're going that bit quicker, it acts as a bit of a drogue and it tries to pull the mask as well. But so far, the Beuchat has been the best for me. Still not great, still hurts the top of my forehead when I'm diving, but it's okay. You'll note as well, I'm not using a case for my GoPro today. That's purely because we're going for lobsters, where we're going to go, which is a top secret spot. Probably won't be exceeding 10 meters today. So I don't really need the case. I'm not going down to 30 plus meters or whatever. On a good day, 24, 25 meters is about my maximum at the moment. So, and it's very rare I do that. It's not about the numbers, but I know I don't have to put the case on. Saves a bit more weight. It's just a bit more fuss-free, and that's why I don't have the case on today. But I would recommend you put the case on, especially if you're scratching about rocks, because you're going to smash your GoPro up if you're not careful. So yeah, a box, any box will do, just to put your catch in. It keeps your car dry. I've got a knife as well. I am spoilt and I have a titanium knife. Any knife will do. You want a knife just in case you get snagged on something. Yeah, it just gives you a fighting chance to get the knife out and cut the line or something like that. Rope maintenance is so important. When I'm freediving, I'm always looking out for loops and anything that might snag me, and staying away from them or cutting them. Now, don't go about cutting everybody's creels and stuff like that, but if you're getting involved in something in a tight space and you're a bit worried, you've got your knife at your side. It gives you a fighting chance. I would hate to be in a position where I've got to hack through, 3 inches of rope, but I'd rather have the knife than not have it. Equally, for dispatching, if you get a lobster and you want to kind of make sure it's as humane as possible, you can just dispatch it very quickly with your knife. So another thing very quickly about the mask is, I'm freestyling here, is I love these Immersion snorkels. They're lightweight, they float, and they've got a little valve in them too. There's not a lot of bulk with them. They're very, very simple. And like I say, they float. Sometimes you're farting around in the water trying to get your fins on, you'll drop your snorkel. And it's quite reassuring that it floats, because it's a nightmare having to dig about in the kelp trying to find out where your snorkel went. I love these. They're soft as well, so there's a bit of give in them. They're really good snorkels. Couldn't recommend them enough. And that little valve at the end, dead simple, but it makes a bit of a difference just clearing water out your mask. You need a torch. I'm using a light and motion torch. This is about 80 quid. Does everything I need it to do. It's been in the wars. It's lasted me now to maybe 3 years. Internal battery, externally charged, so you don't have to worry about seals. It's not the most powerful torch, but it does everything I need it to do, and it's small and it's compact and it's white, so I can see it if I drop the thing. Doesn't float. I think I'd like a torch that floats, but I don't imagine there's all that many out there. I couldn't recommend this enough, to be honest. It does everything I need it to do, and it's tough. It takes a knock, and you can use it outside as well, out the water. Not all torches can be used out the water. That's underwater torches, I mean. So it's really handy for that when you're camping and stuff. And it just charges. It's got a little cradle thing you put it in. So I'm wearing my 5mm suit today, and weight is a funny thing. Now, there's lots of very, very, very wise people out there when it comes to buoyancy and stuff like that, but the short version of it is, the thicker your suit, the more it's going to want to float. Equally, the deeper you are going to go, the less weight you probably want, because as you get down the water column, you'll start to lose buoyancy. You'll start to become heavier. You'll feel yourself start to sink as you get past certain depths and so on. So I am wearing a 5mm suit, which is not that buoyant, but I'm going in quite shallow water. So I've got 2 weight belts there. I don't normally carry 2 weight belts, but really just to make the point, I'd normally wear the weight belt with the fewer weights if I'm going deeper. I'm pretty much neutrally buoyant at about 10 meters with this wetsuit and the lighter weight belt. That means at 10 meters, I'll pretty much just sit in the water column. which is a great feeling actually. You're completely spot on. And then as I pass 10 meters, I'll start to become negatively buoyant and I'll feel myself starting to sink. That's good when you are going deep because you don't have to work too hard, you're not burning a lot of energy. But equally, if you're just starting out, it's terrifying feeling like you're sinking the whole time. So start off light, add weight on, and then depending on where you're going, you'll start to adjust your weight. Now, I'm probably going to wear the second weight belt with the more weights on it, just purely because we're going to be in the 3, 4, 5 meter range, possibly down to 10. But I don't want to burn a lot of energy getting down. Equally in shallow water, your fins will break the surface. It's a bit tricky to try and stay down, so I want to be deliberately heavy. But it's a bit of a science. Like I say, start off light and then add weight on. I'm going to be using a float. I love these Cressi floats. I'll put a link to all of this stuff in the description of this. Cressi floats are great. They've got all the extra pockets, do what they need to do. They've got 2 bladders in case you burst one. Obviously I'll be using a little anchor to keep it still, lots of little bungees and stuff, and we'll need a catch net too. This is a beaver catch net. I lost my good one. This one does. I'd recommend getting a catch net with a plastic aperture. And the reason for that is when you open the net, it stays open. Sometimes when you've got your hands full, it's a bit of a pain fiddling about with the neck of this, trying to get the drawstring, and you know, you've got your lobsters and your crabs, they're trying to take your face off and you're trying to get this thing open. And when they've got like a plastic hinge on them, it just makes life easier. It just keeps the mouth of it open. So I'd recommend that. But good thing with this is it tucks into this pocket here and it goes completely out the way. So I will demonstrate that now. So I like to have everything as tidy as possible, less to snag on and so on. So the other thing is we're going for lobsters and crabs. So I'm going to take some hooks. These are really easy to fashion up. I've got a 3D printer, so I just make the handles. I'm quite lucky that way, but you could put anything on them, to be honest. Even just tape would do the job. 2 hooks. This is made from a paint roller, I think, and the other one's just a bit of aluminium bar. It's a bit longer, a bit more reach. But you'll need something like that to coax lobsters out, and hopefully I can show you a bit of footage of us catching lobsters today using the hooks. You need a towel, and I got the C-Monsta bag. Massive shout out to C-Monsta. I love what they do. The bag and all their kit is made out of recycled materials. It's got 2 compartments, so wet gear can go in one, dry gear can go in the other. I've got my towels and things like that there, and some spare torches. C-Monsta, I like what you do. Good stuff. It really works. It's tough. It's more utilitarian than it is pretty. I like that. My stuff gets destroyed. And this is really handy on the boat as well, because I can put my camera gear in it, and if the boat floods and gets wet, everything stays dry because it's bone dry inside there. The bag is waterproof. Love that, and it folds up flat as well. Really cool bag. They do the wetsuit hanger thing as well. I don't have one. I have lots of wetsuits. I hang them all up. I just work through a system, and I use a shoe dryer. But the hanger is really good actually, and I should probably get one, to be fair. Oh, and Crocs. When you put your boots on, and I've broke a bone in my hand. That's what this is all about. When you put your boots on, the boots are soft neoprene socks, so you need Crocs just to, for long as possible, protect your boots from getting tore up. Otherwise, you'll spend a fortune on replacing boots. So that's my kit. That's what I'll be using today. You just build up over time. Try what you can. I rate the Cressi stuff. Polo subs make amazing wetsuits. For a little bit more money, you'll get a custom sized suit. You won't have to worry about fit. You won't have to try it all on and all that kind of stuff. My good lady has a polo sub, and some of the boys have polo subs. Amazing suits. Personally, I'm quite lucky. Off the hanger, fits me like a glove. And the Cressi suits work for me. They work really well. So massive shout out to Cressi. That said, immersion gloves, immersion boots, brilliant. I can't see past them. They're cheap, they're good quality, they last ages, they're warm, and you don't mind replacing them because, you know, bang for buck, they're perfect, and they feel really good too. I happen to be using the Cressi modular impulse fins. Really good fins, do what they need. They're quite soft, they're easy on my knees for plastic fins, but if you can afford carbon, as you get into this. It's worth the hype, but it took me a long time to switch to carbon. And if you're starting out, do not buy carbon. You'll just destroy them. You need to get a bit savvy with when to put your kit on and get it off, and you get slicker with all these things. But don't buy carbon starting off. You're wasting your money. Bag, box, weight belts, different weights. We've gone over that, and my hooks, and that's really it. Warm gear when you're finished, and yeah, I hope that was useful. Now we're going to cut to our secret location, and hopefully I've got some action for you. So stand by, and here's the next one. This is the thing with lobsters, you really do have to have a good old look in all these nooks and crannies, because they can be really far back sometimes. And you can also see why it's good advice to have your GoPro in a case, because they get bashed up pretty quickly. And bingo, I found a lobster. Now, I'm about a third of the way through a typical dive, but there's no point carrying on. I found the lobster, having a quick look at the hole, it's not going anywhere, it's a good spot, I can get to it, I'm fairly sure about that. I let Pete know I found one, and Pete goes down, has a look himself, and I'm thinking I'm going to need the hooks, because we're going to have to somehow coax this guy out so as I can get a good handle on him. I wait for Pete to clear, and then I go back down, and I just want to leave my torch here as a marker. It makes finding the hole easy, especially now that I'm going to go swim back and go and get my float with the hooks on it. So there's a bit of current here. It's a bit of work fetching the float and bringing it back. Just getting my catch bag ready. And you can see why I'd recommend getting for lobsters at least, getting a catch bag with a plastic mouth on it that just keeps it open, because the drawstring ones are just a bit of a pain to get things into. They try and close on themselves all the time. Just freeing up the hooks. And you can see how well marked with that torch down there the lobster hole is.
You want to go from behind it, and I'll wait for the turn around. Behind, and you just reach in with the short one. I think if I push this first, he'll turn. If I turn, yeah. Bring myself, get ready.
Quick chat about plan A. And there's been a slight miscommunication on this, because there's 3 holes underneath this rock. You can see just to the left of the main hole is a smaller hole with dead band fingers on it, and that's the hole I thought Pete was going to put the hook down. Now what Pete's just saying there is he'll go down on me because he knows I've done a bit of swimming against the current. He's fresh and I'm needing to catch my breath and just breathe up and relax. So it makes sense that he goes down on me when I'm ready, as opposed to him going down and me chasing him. And here we go. Now I'm thinking Pete's going to put the hook in the hole just above this one and get the lobster to come forward. But he puts it in a different hole, and you can see the lobster's gone back. You can just see it there briefly. And I realise there's no point pursuing that right now. Best come up, get another breather, and have another think about plan B instead.
You see the small hole? Put it in the small hole, yeah. Yeah.
So I'm thinking if he puts it in that small hole, that might be enough to get the lobster to come forward so as I can get a hand on it. Which was, in my head at least, the original plan. But you can see it's got pretty far back now, And if Pete puts that hook in that small hole, actually it's going to stop it from being able to move forward completely. And then it suddenly dawns on me, actually there's the third hole that Pete had originally put the hook into, and I decide to go and have a look there. And I realise I can see its tail from that. Now believe it or not, I'm actually trying to be as careful as I can here, so that I don't damage the legs or lose any claws or unnecessarily hurt the lobster. I've got it out, have a quick look for any eggs on its belly, and we're good. Job done. Here's some more shots of other lobsters. So you can see this hole's not going to work, but there's two holes to this. There's no way I've got the reach to get my hand in there. It's just never going to work. But if I can coax it out and chase it to Pete, who's just to my left, he might be able to get a hand on its tail from there. But unfortunately, this rock's just too big. We just don't have long enough arms to get to it. And we've already got one in the bag. So there's no point in taking big risks. Here's another lobster. We have 2 goes at this, but unfortunately the lobster is in a kind of L-shaped hole, so you can't get the hook very far back. You can just see its claw there. And I'm trying to get the hook behind the lobster to coax it out, but it's gone behind a corner basically. So we have another go at it in a second, this time with 2 hooks. And see if we can maybe coax it out that way. But while we're doing that, a seal pops up. You can just see it. Now if you don't know they're there, sometimes they can spook you, especially when it's gloomy like this, but it's always good to see seals. Completely harmless, very inquisitive, and great fun to be in the water with. So I'm trying with a longer hook this time to see maybe if I can get that. It's slightly narrower, the actual tubing, so maybe I can get it through that crack and just get behind the lobster. And it can be really tempting sometimes to kind of get that hook in and get it stuck into the lobster, but that rarely works and you just end up killing the lobster and it stays there, you can't get it out. So don't do that, just cut your losses, move on to the next one. It'll be there for the next time you come back. Now when we started this dive, lobsters weren't the only thing we were going for. Here's a brown crab, but I've already got a lobster in the bag, and really you want to get a couple of brown crabs. So if I haven't found many crabs at the beginning of my dive, I tend just to leave them because you need a few claws. Although I get this out, it's a bit of a fumble while I try and make sure it doesn't take my fingers off. And I let Pete see it just in case Pete wants the crab, but he's quite happy, so I decided to let this guy go. I did find another big brown crab, but for me 4 crab claws isn't quite enough, so there was no point taking them. I just left them all behind. I've let Pete see it. He's got the option if he wants it. He's quite happy to leave it, so he swims away for another day. Here comes that seal again. He's decided to come for another visit. And he's checking Pete out because Pete's a distance away from me. And I'm trying to get his attention, see if he'll do anything. Sadly, we were starting to run out of time, but I offer him my fins just very quickly to see if he'll come up and have a little nibble, little curiosity. And then one last lobster on our way back, but we are now completely out of time. We've got to get back to do other things, and I'll leave this guy for another day. And that brings our diving to an end. Okay, so we're back at the ranch, and there's the product of our feed This is a European lobster. This has been dispatched already. Any twitching and stuff like that's just nerves. How I dispatch them, there's lots of different ways. But what I'll do is just run a blade through here and it kills them pretty instantly. And you will see some nerves and so on twitching for a little while. There's no, we call them berries, no eggs. I'll cut to this video quick. And you just get an idea of what the eggs look like. So we don't take lobsters with eggs. That's just, it's bad form, and you're not meant to anyway. Plus it's stupid because you've basically killed 100 lobsters instead of just the one. Anyway, long story short, I hope you found that informative. We're going to cook this up tonight and have it with some nice bread and do a bit of garlic and butter and stuff like that. Yeah, good little dive, quite successful. We don't get them all. Sometimes you've just got to, particularly where it's a good spot, you just move on. Instead of harassing them, sometimes you just got to realise that you're not going to get the lobster, give up, move on, instead of risking harming it, injuring it, things like that. So you'll see in the video clips that I've shown you today that we left a couple of them once we realised it was just no point. You're free diving as well, so you want to try and keep a margin of safety, but there's no point wounding them. We're going to come back and look for them again anyway, and if we're lucky we'll catch them next time round. We've already got the feed. So you'll also, I've seen that we do a lot of teamwork. You can do it by yourself, but it's good fun with friends, and you've got the extra safety element as well. Freediving's always best done in pairs, minimum. And I'm not going to lecture on all that stuff. But anyway, I hope you found that informative, giving you an idea of the kit that we've got, the end result. I'm not going to cook it and show you how delicious it is and all that stuff. It's a bit lame. I might do that next time. Plus the house is messy. So, yeah, so thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to go and cook my lobster now. So see you later.